have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
Now, many people, especially young people, accept unquestioningly the reality that is presented by the media. Popular culture, movies, television, music, carry messages about how society works and how people should behave. And so entertainment is not value-free. It has ideological content. It presents a worldview that influences the people who watch the programming.
We speak of being with it, meaning we've understood completely. We've got the message, as it were, in every way possible. But in the older book or print culture, people were not with it. They were away from it by themselves with their own private point of view. Now, you have no point of view when you're with it because you accept the thing totally. And we're with it because these new media of ours, the one you talked about in the appliance store, have made our world into a single unit. The world is now like a continually sounding tribal drum, where everybody gets the message all the time. A princess gets married in England, and boom, boom, boom go the drums. We all hear about it. An earthquake in North Africa. A Hollywood star gets drunk. Away go the drums again. I use the word tribal. It is probably the key word of this whole half hour.
Why, Marshal, do you use the word tribal? Why this?
Well, I think you'll find everything we observed tonight about the media points in the direction of tribal man and away from individual man.
Now, by individual man, I assume that you're referring to John's literary man.
Yes, and tribal man is the man created by the new electronic media.
So that this would be the basic change we spoke of at the beginning.
Yes, we're re-tribalizing. Involuntarily, we're getting rid of individualism. We're in a process of making a tribe. For just as books and their private point of view are being replaced by the new media, so the concepts which underlie our actions, our social life, are changing. We are no longer so concerned with self-definition, with finding our own individual way. We're more concerned with what the group knows, of feeling as it does, of acting with it, not apart from it.
Well, there they are. Our new electronic media, or our new gadgets. You push a button, and the world's yours. You know how they talk about the world getting smaller? Well, it's thanks to these that it is. Everywhere is now our own neighborhood. We know what it's like to go on safari in Kenya, or to have an audience with the Pope, to order a cognac in a Paris cafe. But not only is the world getting smaller, it's becoming more available and more familiar to our minds and to our emotions. The world is now a global village.
No eye for one will. Well, we actually get satiated on one thing, and then maybe we're going to want to eat something, and then we're going to want to create music. We're going to become better musicians. We're going to become funnier. Some of us are already pretty good at that, but...
You're saying that these computers will make us funnier?
Well, we're going to put them inside our bodies and brains to make ourselves smarter. And computers are already smarter than we are logically. Where we have an edge is getting the joke, being funny, being sensual, being loving. That's the threshold that we're on, to give computers those skills. And we're going to put them inside our bodies and brains to make ourselves greater in these qualities.
I am gross and perverted. I'm obsessed and deranged. I have existed for years, but very little has changed. I'm the tool of the government and industry too, for I am destined to rule and regulate you. I might be vile and pernicious, but you can't look away. I make you think I'm delicious with the stuff that I say. I'm the best you can get. Have you guessed me yet? I'm the slime oozing out from your... Take it away, Don Pardo!
You will obey me while I lead you and eat the garbage that I feed you until the day that we don't need you. Don't go for help, no one will heed you. Your mind is totally controlled. It has been stuffed into my mold, and you will do as you are told until the rights to you are sold. Take it away, Frank!
Frank, you're one of the most accomplished musicians active today. Why don't you sit down and write a top 40 hit song sometime?
I could do it if I wanted, but even if I did, the chances of it getting played on a top 40 radio station are not very good.
Why is that?
Because of the attitudes of programmers, and there's a certain political rigmarole that one must go through in order to have a top 40 record, including special types of presents to certain people in the industry. And that's something that I don't wish to be involved in.
You said rock and roll was only for people who were cute at one point. Do you think rock and roll is still for people who are simply cute?
It's more for people who are cute now than it ever was before, because it's virtually impossible to get a record contract if you look, anywhere between normal and ugly. You may play great and sing great, but if you're not cute, you can't get a contract now because it's the world of videos. It's easier to get a contract now if you can't sing and you can't play, but you look good, because they can always hire somebody to sing your song for you. You've seen that happening over and over and over again. Every hit that you hear on the record, on the radio, who's really singing it? Who's doing it? Because the person that you see in the video is dancing and looking good with nice clothes and everything, and it's all fake. There's no question about it. Hell in a handbasket.
Frank, you've given up hope.
The Sykes-Picot arrangement, whatever it was.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, it's really depressing. If you stop and think about trying to get people to pay attention to what the government is doing or actually taking some personal involvement in it, it's hopeless, because even if you got them to register, they don't know enough about what's going on to make a decision after they've registered. So maybe it's for the best if they don't register.
So how do they become more informed? I mean, they become a news addict like you? And that news is so skewed anyway.
Well, I'm watching the same skewed news that's available to everybody else. I don't have any kind of secret information that comes filtering into my house. But what I've learned to do over the years is subtract the spin. And so if you flip from channel to channel and see the different ways a story is covered, you can average it out and get some idea of what's going on. And then the fact that certain stories are reported at all is very suspicious. And you learn to spot these, why are they talking about this now?
Let's talk about things on television. CNN. What do you think of CNN?
I started watching CNN when you didn't have to pay for it. Now they're scrambling it and you have to pay to see all this right-wing hogwash they hand you. But CNN started off as a very good idea. You could see news all the time, and then it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and it started going more and more and more to the right. And I think that right now, in order to watch CNN and extract news, you have to read between the lines so much and filter out all the speculation that they include in the news stories. I mean, showing the pictures and telling people what happened, cut and dried, that's the news. Yeah. But when you force a person who is a participant in the news story to speculate on what it really means, I think that's pushing it, and they stay on that stuff too much.
Now, I've actually seen you on CNN.
Yeah, sure, I've been on there. In fact, they interviewed me the other day. I put a thing in my book about CNN and how I think they've gone down the tubes, and they interviewed me about that, and I told the same thing to them. Yeah. But let me give you an example of a CNN technique, okay? Once upon a time, there was a news story that was announced by the anchor like this. Dan Quayle will now be involved more in government policy-making decisions. So what do we see for videotape? Here's George Bush. He's wearing a white shirt, he's got his sleeves rolled up, he's holding a box of popcorn. And he's in a movie theater. And behind him, in the darkness, is Dan Quayle, walking around like a little clone in the background. And right behind George Bush is Dan Aykroyd and Kim Basinger. And obviously they are at the premiere of a movie called My Stepmother is an Alien. Now, this is a Weintraub Entertainment Group film. And Mr. Weintraub and Mr. Bush are friends. I did some research. I found out how this story came about. George called Weintraub and said, "Do you have a movie?" he needed a little promotional thing to stick on the air. This is obviously a plug for a movie, and it's introduced as a story about Dan Quayle. Now that's an abuse of the news, I think.
Another project of yours is called Thingfish, which is about, as I understand it, sexually transmitted disease, particularly amongst homosexuals. I mean, I would say it was AIDS, if you like. Which
Well, in this thing, it's called the mystery disease, but it's quite obvious that it is an AIDS-like disease, and it's been manufactured on purpose, and it's being transmitted on purpose, and the purpose is to rid the planet of certain people. I believe that AIDS, in reality, is not a natural accident. It's not a natural disease that just sort of evolved. Somebody cooked it up. I think that it's something that either escaped from a genetic engineering laboratory or something that was manufactured on purpose in a genetic engineering laboratory to somebody's specifications. I also believe that all the warfare of the future will be conducted with these biological agents, because now that gene splicing is a thing that can be done, it is feasible to consider the preparation of certain diseases which will kill only specific races, nationalities, or people with certain interests, because you can tailor the disease to attack certain things in certain categories.
But these are very serious allegations, Frank. I mean, what actually makes you believe this? Do you have hard and fast evidence that this is the case, or is it just something that you've theorized?
No, this is just the opinion of an aging buffoon. You know, just think nothing of it.
So, you think that possibly America or any other country in the world could increase its power and its standing internationally by actually utilizing these agents?
Let's look at the world the way it really is. Government is a joke. Governments don't do anything. That's like a cardboard cutout that hides where the real machinery is. The world is a place that does business. The world is run by multinational businesses that mostly sell weapons to each other. Then you have sugar business, oil business, coal business, you know, business. And when the guys who run these things say jump, all governments jump. And it's foolish to consider the possibility of nuclear war because from a business standpoint, it's impractical. It stops all business. So the way you have to look at it is the chances are much more likely that the sales will continue of missile delivery systems, but what will be in the warheads will not be things that destroy real estate. It's much more practical to think of missiles going someplace and putting out chemicals or microbes that enable the one party to subjugate the other party by controlling its labor force while leaving the buildings intact. So you've subjugated them, and now you got a bonus. You have their machinery, you got this, you got that. And I believe that there's somebody sitting in an office someplace that's working on it, and that's the practical way to do it. You can scream about nuclear war, and you have people running around with signs and stuff like that, but I don't believe there will ever be a nuclear war, because it's just impractical from a business sense. Meanwhile, the companies that are building delivery systems are making plenty of money, billions of dollars, because the money goes into small arms, delivery systems, medium-sized arms. Their commerce is still going on, and that's why they're alive. That's what they love to do.
An industry providing entertainment for people who need to be entertained. Okay, it's doing its job, but I have a different view of music. I think that it has an aesthetic importance that goes beyond chart placement, and the business of music is all about this fake list of who sold what. And the whole idea of selling large numbers of items in order to determine whether or not the item has any quality to it is what's really repulsive about it. And the function that is required of you as a musician in the United States basically is please be a jukebox. It's not even please, just be a jukebox. We want you to play whatever it is you just put out on your record, and we want it to sound just like the record. And so this desire on the part of the audience to have live in-person replication of freeze-dried material is one of the forces that led to the Milli Vanilliism that we now see, because a lot of the contemporary albums, you can't play it live. You have to just have a track playing in the background and, you know, fake it all.
Musicians will always make music. However, the people who make records are not always musicians. You know, sometimes they're just plain show people. Or in the case of some of the punk groups, they're guys off the street that were gathered together by a boutique owner. You know, the fact of the matter is that advertised properly, people will buy anything. See? And now that the lesson of punk has been learned, that you can sell anything to anybody, there's no telling what the next trend will be.
What about the music of today? What direction is it going in?
It's going to the bank.
Is that a creative assessment? Is that good for music?
It's not good for music, but the accountants love it.
Mm-hmm. How about radio?
Same thing.
Are you at all embittered by the fact that the same people get played on commercial radio?
I don't listen to the radio.
So you have nothing to be...
You guys shouldn't either. There's nothing in it for you.
What about television? Watch much television?
No. I like the news. I watch CNN most of the time.
Mm-hmm. Does the news ever get you down? I mean, that's not a...
No, I like to watch the news because I don't like people very much, and when you watch the news, you know, if you ever had an idea that people were really terrible, you can watch the news and know that you're right.
Well, as somebody once said, children now become gray at 3. They have acquired so much information about the world by the age of 3 that they're in a sense senile. And this vast amount of data that they are fed daily by TV upsets their attention span, for example. One of the effects of TV is to shorten the amount of time that people can pay attention to anything. And so young people today in America, for example, have very, very short attention span. They have to change the subject or whatever they're talking about very quickly. And what's wrong with television is the kind of effect it has on people's nervous systems. And it's not the program that is unsettling or dangerous. It is simply the complete disruption of the human nervous system by this potent drug.